Hi, this is Doug Howard from Growth Team Strategies, and I'm here today with Kathi Fleck, one of our star consultants, talking about Selling the Dream, our new podcast about succession planning and looking at how you can prepare your business for sale. And today we're going to talk about the concept of, is my business even sellable? And Kathi, you've had some firsthand experience with this, and I know you've talked to other people that ask the same question, and maybe even a few that doubted you even when you thought your business was sellable. So what do you think about that?
I think a lot of people don't even really think about selling their business. And I think it's just kind of out there in la la land. They just don't even consider that as an option. Or people start telling them that their business isn't sellable. I know when I started in the remodeling industry, there really wasn't much of a concept of remodelers selling their business. And so it's kind of surprising to me. But even as I go on today, I find that a lot of people don't think that their business is sellable.
Yeah. I think it's particularly true with service businesses, don't you? It seems like if I owned a pizza shop or if I owned a garden center, I'd probably think more about the physical aspects of it being something that would be sellable, as opposed to if I do web design or I do remodeling or
Mhm.
whatever. It just seems like a lot of people feel like I'm going to be done whenever that last project finishes.
Yeah, that's right. I think a lot of people wonder, what are you selling? Because when I sold my remodeling business, I did not have a building. I was the main front of the company, and people were wondering, what are you going to sell? Who's going to want to buy that? And I've heard that from others as well.
Yeah. So in terms of that conversation, I mean, I always feel like if you've got, a market presence, people know the company's name. You've got customers that you've satisfied over, some period of time. Processes for how to do what you do. Those are some pretty good starts. But what are some other things you think that made the business sellable? I mean, what are people buying when they buy these businesses?
Well, I think they're buying a how-to, first of all, if they have no knowledge about how a business may work. They're also buying some reputation, a brand, probably some clients that they've been working with, and a jump start on getting their business going so that they can take it not from scratch, but from a business that's already had some stability to it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's right. I always tell people to think in terms of franchises, right? You buy a franchise, you get a marketing concept and you get an operating process, right? So whether it's a food franchise or whatever, it's this is who we are and how we sell what you do. There's an expectation there'll be business there. And then here's how to make the burgers or the pizza or whatever it is,
Hmm.
right? And so I think in our world, service businesses is like, well, do you have a market presence? Do people recognize the brand? And is there an expectation there's going to be future revenue, right? That seems to me to always be what's going
Hmm.
to happen when I take over as the buyer? Are people going to call? Are people already in the queue? That kind of thing. And so, in terms of starting that process, it seems like too, if people have an idea of someone that might want to take over the business, it seems like they think a little bit more about it. It's more of a transition. Um, but when you decided you wanted to, have a successor to sell the business and didn't have like a particular person in mind, like how did you determine that this really is something that could be sold?
I think I always had it in my head that I wanted to sell the business, and I went to a lot of seminars and listened to other podcasts on selling a business. So to me, it was something I always wanted to do. But I think a lot of people don't really think that way, and so it's not something that they prepared for. So for me, it was checking it out. Going to these different seminars, checking it out. The other one was I was contacted by a broker, so that piqued my curiosity. So I started taking a look at that and saying, is this a possibility? And when they said yes, and we started going down that path, it was something that I thought, okay, I do have a possibility here. But then once you put it on the market, you start facing all the other problems that come up. I'm the face of the company. Um, what are people actually buying, finding the right buyer. There's a lot of those questions that come up, and it does take a bit to find the right buyer.
Yeah, yeah. So I think if people have that inclination, maybe a first step would be just to do some homework, right? Do some outreach, different places to get some of that information. I know we love talking to folks, right, that are thinking about that whole process and is a business sellable. And so we'd obviously be happy to talk to folks as well. But, I think a big part of it is just trying to think about what would be here when I stepped out, and what are the things that I do that, someone else is going to have to be able to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I do all the selling, or if I do all the building, or if I'm the only one that knows how to make the pizza, or whatever it is, right? Then I think, just starting to think about what a sellable business even looks like can really help folks. And people should be doing that way in advance, right? I mean, the kinds of things you want to do to really make that more likely to happen are things you can do, well ahead of really getting ready to sell, don't you think?
I do. I think a lot of people just don't think of selling. So if you think about somebody who's a technician, let's say a carpenter in the remodeling industry, or a chiropractor, I mean, they have a lot of skill in their field, but they don't necessarily have that business background that helps them to get to the point of planning for the future. And we all know that running your own business, it's so much a day-to-day thing that you're always trying to put out the fires, find the right people to help you, get the right customers or clients, that there's not a lot of time left for what's going to happen 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So, what is your best one piece of advice for someone that hears this and says, you know what, I've got a business. Maybe it is sellable. Maybe I should go down that path of thinking about that. What's the
Mhm.
one thing they should do first, next?
I think to be open to check it out and to talk to some people who can help them get on that path and just see if it is viable, how much time they need to take to prepare for it, and at least be open to it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm super excited. I know we're going to be getting together once a week and talking about different things that relate to taking people down that path, things that they should be thinking about. It's such an interesting journey, right? When you go from
Yes.
having the business and being excited about it to the thought of really being able to transition it and having it live on. I know we've both been in that situation,
Mhm.
and both businesses are still out there. So that's probably a good sign, right? And
It
we're still
is.
out
Yes.
there. So that's even a better sign, right?
It's true. Yes.
So it's going to be fun to explore. I appreciate having the chance to get together with you and share some of the thoughts with folks.
Thanks, Doug. It's
All
great.
right, thanks, Kathy. So yeah, selling the dream. We'll look forward to talking to you again in about a week. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Selling the Dream podcast, starring Doug Howard and Kathi Fleck. Both Doug and Kathi have built and sold successful businesses and hope this podcast will help other small business owners do the same. Tune in every week to hear more tips for increasing the value of your company so you get the highest return for your years of hard work when it comes time to sell or transition your business. Can't wait till next week? Check out our website for more information at www.growththemes.com.